To get our project started, all we need to do is remove the pins from our pattern pieces, take our heat erasable marker, and mark the placement for those darts. I've already done it on the lining section, so we're going to take the pieces over to the sewing machine and give those darts a sew. You want to leave your strings long so you can tie those off at the tip of the dart. We have our darts sewn, tied off, and pressed to the side. We're going to take the pants front section, we're going to place them right sides together, and we're going to sew that center front seam. You can grab the pants facing at this time and do the same thing. We're going to clip in towards that seam allowance, press both of those seams open, and then get the facing of the pants sewn to the front of the pants. For a nicer finish on the inside of the pants, I'm going to run a quick zigzag stitch along the hem edge of the facing. To make the flap on the front of the sailor pants, you're going to refer back to the actual facing piece. You're going to look at the line as indicated on the pattern, and you're just going to clip with your scissors down to the tip of that actual flap. So it should look just like that. Then I'm going to take my facing piece, I'm going to place it wrong side up, and I'm going to grab my heat erasable marker, and I'm going to mark that right onto that facing piece so I have a really easy guide as I take it back over to the sewing machine. Once I have my marks on the pattern, I'm going to take the front of the pants, I'm going to place the facing to it with right sides together, and I'm going to pin it in place. Then I'm going to take my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch very close to this line, as close as you can stitch and still create a cut with your scissors without pulling the stitches. I would recommend that you set your stitch length even smaller than a 2, just to make sure that those stitches don't pull out when you cut into the center of the flap. With your scissors, you're going to carefully cut in between those 2 lines, making sure not to cut into the stitches. Once you have your cuts between the stitches, you're going to sew across the waist edge of the pants. You could use a little fray check along the raw edge of the inside of that cut if you're afraid that those stitches may pull out. With the waist edge sewn, we're going to check both sides, and then we're going to clip in towards that seam allowance and turn the facing to the insides of the pants, and then we'll give a press to the waist. Now that we have the flaps pressed open and the waist also pressed, we're going to take the pants and place them right sides together. We're going to match the waist seam and we're going to open up that face seam and we're going to sew the center back seam of the pant. This will create a nice finish to the inside of the pants. We're going to clip in towards that seam allowance and press it open, and we're almost finished with this project. Before I take it over to the ironing board though, I'm going to run a quick zigzag stitch along the hem edge of the pants because I'm going to turn that up 1/4 of an inch and hem them. Once you place the facing to the inside, you can give the back of the pants just a quick press right there at the waistband. So here's how our project's coming together so far, and we just have a few more steps and we're actually going to be finished. Next, we're going to take the hem edge of the pants and turn it up 1/4 of an inch, give it a press, and sew the hem. With the pants turned inside out, we're going to match that center crotch seam both on the front and the back of the pants, and then we're going to pin the inseam together. We're going to clip in towards that seam allowance, we're going to press the seam open, and then we're going to turn the pants right side out. As you can see on this finished pair of sailor pants on the Divine Inspiration Ellowyne, I am going to add some decorative buttons to the actual flap on the front of the pants, which I find is easier to do at this step than after you have the snaps installed. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my buttons and do that. With the button sewn in place, we're going to get a quick fit to our doll. The flaps are going to fold to the outside. I'm just going to place a pin there to reference where I want to put that final snap. And I think they're coming together great. They look really nice through the back. Everything's coming together. So let's go ahead and grab our snaps. We'll get them sewn to the pants and we'll get those final photographs. Once you have those snaps in place and the buttons are also in place, you can go ahead and get your doll and get those final photographs. One final tip to make the pants sit really nicely on the doll is just to grab a stitch right here at that first button to make sure that there's not a gap at the beginning of the flap. So let's get our doll, get those pictures, and see how our project turned out. And we're done. And Neema looks great in her new sailor pants. Thank you guys so much for coming along with me today. Please list any questions you have in the comment section below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.